Steve, happy Thanksgiving week.
Happy Thanksgiving week to you too.
I love Thanksgiving, and we just got our grocery shopping done. Are you hosting this year?
We are hosting.
Okay.
I think everything is already purchased, so we're in good shape.
Is your turkey in the fridge?
Yep.
I forget. Do you deep fry?
We did. We're now off of that.
Okay.
It's in a roaster inside a bag.
Okay. Okay. We'll save the Thanksgiving talk for later. But I couldn't remember. There's someone I know that deep fries, and I have never done it. I kind of want to do it once. I've had the smoked turkey before, and that's very good, but not deep fried. So
it's very good.
In the meantime, you've got a podcast to listen to. That's called Stuff Summer Says with
Steve.
Steve. Steve, we have a lot to catch up on. Well, not a lot, a little bit, a medium amount, a perfect amount to get you prepared for Thanksgiving. That's what it is. It's a nice appetizer.
Perfect portion-sized podcast.
Yes. I'll say that 10 times fast. Okay. We're going to talk about the Rutgers game. We're going to talk about the Michigan State game. And then I have a question for you. And then I have another question for you. That last question comes in old guy and guy. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. You sound great. Love your new microphone. Very excited. Let's start with the game. Let's start with Penn State's win over Rutgers. In all, it felt very tense because it was a home game after a loss. And then you kind of went back and watched it or thought about it a little longer. And it never really felt that close, even when the quarterback went out. And I think that was kind of reaffirmed kind of on my watch back this afternoon of just, yeah, this is another case of Penn State kind of out athleting a team. And I think that kind of reminded me maybe a little bit of the Northwestern game, a little, maybe in some aspects less sloppy, and in other aspects maybe a little more stressful, particularly with Drew getting hurt. So that was interesting to me. That was kind of my general just thoughts on the game. I think, again, we said this 100 times now this season, but Manny Diaz deserves every dollar that he's going to get, because that was really what won the game for Penn State. Was that Rutgers offense was not doing anything. It really was not. And I think that was nice. And then on the flip side, Penn State's offense, I thought looked better. It was difficult to kind of see that they looked better, but they just kind of, one of those things you couldn't quite put your finger on it, but it felt a little better. And it maybe just been the placebo effect of knowing that Mike Yurcich wasn't in charge this week. So all in all, pretty much what I expected, probably what you expected too, I would assume. Yeah,
I think I expected maybe 6 more points from Penn State. But I mean, not in some down, that they did anything wrong. Yeah, it was the workmanlike victory that Penn State gets over everybody else that it's better than. Quarterback injury was, a little concerning probably, but at the same time, not concerning because they came in and still moved the ball and did things. So yeah, I didn't ever feel in doubt not being in the stadium, listening to it and watching it both. Like it didn't ever feel like anything was going to happen other than Penn State get a victory. It was just how it was going to happen.
Are you ready to put your bow starting back in the box? Are you good? You comfortable putting that back in the box? Or are you still like, yeah?
Oh, I don't care who started.
Okay.
I don't care who started. No, although I understand where we're at as a sports society now, right? Where quarterback gets hurt and people are like, oh my God, he's going to go. Like, that's it. He's going to forget not starting next week. He's going to transfer. Offensive coordinator's gone. The offensive coordinator was his. This is what's going to happen. Nick Singleton, same thing. He's not going to, God forbid, hasn't run the ball, blah, blah, blah. I know we have very short attention spans as sports fans and as sports media people. And that's what people do. So I understand where that comes from, but I don't know that I was ever ready for a new quarterback to be starting, but it doesn't really matter which one plays on Friday night. Or if they both play, Penn State will win Friday night as well. Same thing.
You heard it there first. I don't know. I got annoyed with a lot of those takes. Like, there were a couple of takes that were a little obscene, not from my podcast partner, but from other people that I saw out there floating around, of almost like kind of be thankful that Drew got hurt so that there could be proof. I think the main thing that we've lost collectively as a Penn State fandom is the rational take. And I think like you experience that live in the stadium between that injury, then them getting stopped there down at the goal line and people starting to boo. And not saying like people can't be unhappy, but I think like look at it from the perspective of number one, you forget that I think people genuinely forget that these coaches watch and analyze and chart and look at every number that these quarterbacks, every player does in practice every single day. That is quite literally their jobs. And I think people forget that. The other thing is Bo threw the ball once and there was one other design passing play. They clearly know something about Bo's throwing ability versus Drew's throwing ability. And probably why, if there was a quarterback competition in the offseason this week or now and going into game 12, why Drew won and Bo didn't. So no offense to Bo, but that being said, like it's just relax, take a deep breath. Like I feel like Penn State fans need to take a deep breath for a little bit. Like that's what this last week should have been, as much as the previous week was stressful, and certainly probably what this week should be. That's my.
So you're going all Aaron Rodgers relax for people.
Oh, I'm not going that crazy.
Okay,
a little too far out.
I know you're not wrong, but that's no fun, right? That's not reactionary. That's not the fun thing. That's not, hey, we're still going to finish 10-2, and half the teams in the country would die to have that record and the performance and the fan attendance and whatever else. And I get what it's not, but at the same time, there are a lot of things that Penn State football still is and always is, and was on Saturday in a workmanlike win, right? And I think that was part of the reason not passing either. Hey, Manny Diaz's defense is doing the job. We're going to run the ball. We're going to turn some clock. We're going to get anybody else hurt, and we're just going to do what we can do against this team. So it'll be interesting to see what happens Friday. Like, I mean, that's the one of the downfalls of the move to the news conference on Monday, right? Coach Franklin says, "Oh, well, I don't have any really doubts that it's going to be out." Now, we haven't practiced at all, but I don't have any doubts about that. So you've got really no new information to share. I mean, I'm sure he's gotten doctor's reports and whatever else, but you haven't seen the kid throw or try to throw. So if there is anything up, you don't know yet anyway. And even if there was with Franklin, he wouldn't tell you till game time anyway, right? I mean, and that's right till 30 minutes, whatever the participation report is, whatever, anymore these days. But no, I know why people went there and go there in general, but I hope the kid isn't hurt for his sake, probably for the program's sake, and excited to see what happens Friday night.
Yeah, I think the other thing with that is it probably the clear indication that it probably wasn't that serious was the fact that he was still on the sideline immediately after if something's wrong, they're taking him back to get the x-ray, and he never left the sideline. He went into the tent, but he went in. I think that was probably just to fix up his nose that was bleeding. So that's the Drew Aller injury that probably will not be anything, hopefully be anything.
That was the best thing Fox did in the whole broadcast.
That was where I was going to go next. How was the Fox broadcast? Because I watched it.
It was the worst broadcast of the year.
Really? It was that bad?
It was. It just what Chris Myers feels miscast as a play-by-play guy. It feels miscast to me as a NASCAR host too. But he pronounces Prabula's name wrong to start the game when he was in that first series, and then you're thinking, oh, no big deal. It's not like he's going to have to say the kid's name a lot, and then the kid's in the game, right?
Right.
And then they show a replay with Singleton getting his injury or bell rung, right, for in terms that you probably don't use with head injuries if it is one or even possibly one. He's like, oh, that looks like Nick Singleton there on the cameras. They're showing him on the sideline. I'm like, do you think really the guy with number 10 in his uniform? It was just sloppy Fox Sports 1 stuff. But the best thing they did was they did have a camera on Aller after he came out of the blue tent with like his nose bleeding and working his arm and whatever else. That was good by the director and the producer. The rest of it is just what you get as like the third or fourth game in the Big Ten each week when it's on that network.
So as always, I watched it back on the BTN in 60. So I don't get the full experience, but I did get a little bit of the Chris Myers experience. And I don't know, like, not to harp on him, but I remember him being like a better announcer. I don't know. He just kind of seemed like he lost his fastball. And it also seemed like he wasn't that prepared. And that shows up on a broadcast when you are a fan of that team. And let's be honest, either of either of the people, most of the people watching that game, tuning in, are fans of the team. And so I was kind of like, it just felt like he was only looking at the basic facts and not necessarily getting into the underlying facts that are really the why of this or that. Um, I thought that, and I totally forget who it was, but the coloring analyst was good. Like, he provided a little bit of context, but I just felt like Chris Myers kind of was like, "Oh, we picked you up with a tractor beam and put you here right at 12 o'clock on Saturday."
Yeah, and that's a shame. I mean, I lost his fastball is a good term. I mean, when he was on Sports Center as a anchor, it felt like he was good, and that's kind of where he fit. And his play-by-play, I don't think, has ever been his strength. But you don't have a reporter. You've got a week to get ready for the game. The only people that are watching this game are the two fan bases. There are no casual fans, so feel free to go ahead and be prepared and know how to pronounce people's names. I think Robert Smith was okay. I think he was ABC, ESPN had him slotted much higher a couple of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago when he first left football. And I think he's kind of played to his level a little bit. He's not bad, but he's not spectacular. But it was Chris Myers, and it was a little bit of production stuff, but mostly Chris Myers, just because he didn't feel like he was prepared. And that's a shame. That's just not serving viewers, which for me is always, you got one job when you broadcast, and that's to serve viewers.
Yeah, I think we'll run a little. I've been thinking about this. I think we're going to run a little survey after the season, just in terms of Penn State fandom and kind of the fan experience this year. I think Fox will come in last place on that.
It will be well earned.
Yeah, yeah. And even I understand they got to sell stuff, but even the TV timeouts, and I know there were a lot of Rutgers injuries that aided to that, but even the TV timeouts felt aggressive for an FS1 game. Like, there can't be that many people watching, or they can't be making that much money off of the My Pillow ads. You know what I'm saying?
Well, maybe that's what the My Pillow guy can afford.
That's true. That's true.
So how did the fans deal with the injuries in the stadium? Like, because there were a lot. Like, I didn't hear anything on the ambient sound from the broadcasts.
The first few, people were like, whatever. Then there was one later when Rutgers had the ball and people got upset, and I was like, what? Like, this makes no sense for them to, like, why would they, like, it wasn't in a time pressure situation. So that wasn't clear, or that was fine. The thing that I did notice was it didn't seem like it took a while for a lot of people, at least near us, to realize that Drew got hurt. And I think some people thought that, like, Bo was playing because that was, like, Bo's first play was that long run. And then people were like, okay, like, he's staying in because the running was working. But I think then probably because that was third quarter-ish, right? So, by the fourth quarter, people kind of realized, oh, something's up with Drew. And so that was actually the interesting injury part of Saturday.
Yeah, that would be like, it's interesting to me, and I appreciate there's 100,000 people or 90 some thousand that they call 100 in the stadium. But if you're watching the game in any way, shape, or form, you're probably noticing the quarterback goes out. And if he's not there, you're looking for him on the sidelines. So it's interesting to me that fans didn't know, or some fans didn't have a clue. And I get that it's harder, right? In the stands, there's a lot of stuff going on. But man, I think that's something I probably wouldn't miss, even from wherever we sat in the last row sometimes.
Well, and I think some of that is also, like, I think that's very much like, I check Twitter during the game, but I don't think a lot of other fans necessarily would or do. Or
because
I
they
think
can't. You've got like magic phone service. If you're touching Twitter,
it's because I have T-Mobile and nobody else has T-Mobile. So
okay, there you
go. But I think the other thing, like, back in the day, so to speak, what did people used to do? They used to have the big earphones on with the radio, and Steve or whoever it may have been would call it out and say, okay, this player clearly has an injury and that's why they're not in. And then, that person would kind of turn to another person around them, and then word would spread a lot faster. So I think that was probably why there was not a lot of people knew. And I think the other thing was, I'm not trying to, like, sound like a better fan, but I saw when Drew got hurt, like, you could tell he got up slow on that hit. that put him out. And then you could see him when he threw the ball, the way he threw the ball, he just kind of like needed to get rid of it. And then
Mhm.
he pointed or did something.
Yep.
And if you weren't really paying attention, you might not have caught all of that type of stuff. So,
I guess I just think it's the fans' job to kind of pay attention, but whatever.
well, you know,
Another podcast segment for another day. We'll root on the fans later.
but yeah, no, I think it was a all around fine day. The weather certainly helped. I think that was a big, like I said, I told you this, but I was very pleasantly surprised with the number of people there that were there. I don't think it was 105 like it was reported, but I don't think it was 75, which we've definitely seen 75 for that game, based on the time of year, the weather, and the way
Yeah,
the
if the weather
season's
would have
gone.
been worse, maybe it'd have been smaller, but they're winning their game, the 9th game of the season, the 7th game at home. They're people, it was a great day weather-wise. People aren't going to throw that money away if they don't have to. Penn State fans amaze me in their willingness to show up. And this is a good season, so there's no reason they probably shouldn't. But even when there's times through the years when they could vote with their feet by not being there, I think the pragmatism of, well, we paid for these tickets, we're going to use them, as opposed to we're going to make a statement and have an empty seat. I just don't know that I've seen that happen in my lifetime very often.
No, I agree with that. So yeah, I didn't get creamery ice cream though. I am sad to report. They didn't have any flavors that I was interested in. So
Hey, you got to make those decisions, right? Like if they don't have what you want, why would you spend the money?
so
So good for
I
you.
did. I did. I haven't talked about it, but I think my new Beaver Stadium tradition is the nuts for you, the candied nuts. They're very good. That's my new go-to. So
Wait, so the last drink before leaving is a what?
usually Capri Sun.
So a Capri Sun and then
A lot of
nuts for you.
sugar. We're just it's a cheat day type thing. Like there's no rolls on
Okay.
game day.
I'm just
So
making that
we start
change.
the day off with just bacon, like nothing else, no eggs, just bacon.
Oh no, there was a lot of bacon in us too, because there was just the two of us for a little while. So I had lots of bacon. So it got cold. Got to eat it again before it gets cold. So yeah, can feel you.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to this weekend's game. I think I want to talk about the most interesting aspect, which is that it is on a Friday. I think that will segue into our larger conversation nicely. But I also want to talk about the fact that it's inside, and I'm very eager to check out a new football stadium off the list type thing. Although I don't know, I kind of don't love the general vibes of we're going to play this game because NBC wants it at night and wants to get more eyeballs on it. So we're going to play this game inside. Like, I would be fine if this was an on-campus game, and I don't anticipate, Penn State ever becoming like a Friday school in terms of home games. And it seems like there's been a couple of reports of Penn State's already said no, we don't even want any night games that late in the season. But I don't know. We'll see how things are different next year, because this is going to be the last year of this like traditional rivalry, which isn't really a rivalry. So that's my spicy hot Michigan State take.
So you're going?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is how they. I mean, this is a Michigan State home game, right? They talked them out of. So I don't know why if you're Michigan State, why you wouldn't want it at your place either. So I don't know whether they were worried about the weather, or I don't know what the deal is, and haven't seen anything reported about why Michigan State would give this up, right? Well, why not play it at home at night unless they were worried about the weather, right? Which could be, I haven't looked at the weather for Friday night out there, in East Lansing. So what they're saving people from having to do that, and they're saying, okay, we're going to put it indoors. At least you're going to have a great opportunity to see the team. I don't know. I don't know that I'd give up the home game. I mean, I get what Big Ten tradition is with no night games late in the season, but I'm sorry, the money has made that ship sail. Somebody's gonna be playing these games somewhere.
Right. Well, I mean, look at Wisconsin and Nebraska last weekend. Like that's perfect case of that. I think I have to wonder if some of this was all of this happened naturally before the Mel Tucker news broke, and I think maybe their thought was, well, there's a good chance that Penn State's at least 11 or 10-1 going into that game, and probably hopefully Michigan State is much better than 4-7 going into this game. So I think that has something to do with it. I just I don't want this to become a recurring theme or thing for Penn State as okay, you're gonna have to go on the road. Because I think it's just obviously like Black Friday is a little bit different, but in the regular season, it would be annoying if Penn State became the traditional Friday away opponent for Illinois, Indiana.
But it has been, right? I mean, it's
Yeah,
if you looked at it, I mean, we'd have to look at the numbers, and we have those somewhere. But then Penn State might be the traditional, might be the preferred Friday opponent of the Big Ten Conference right now, because it did the
that's true.
job for Illinois, it did the job for Maryland, it's doing it for Michigan State this week. That's at least three. I don't know if I'm forgetting one. And I
I
guess
can't
the
think.
other larger thing that the other thing, larger thing that this could move is next season they start at home in Big Ten Conference play. Woohoo! Maybe they'll finish on the road at some places in Big Ten Conference play, right? If Penn State doesn't want to host a late
Mm,
season night game, maybe they're going to be playing other
that's a good
places at
point.
night as the season winds down, because you probably can't have both the beginning and the end at home.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Well, and now that like we talked that through, I can think of a couple of Ohio State non, although I can't necessarily think of a Friday night Ohio State game. And I certainly can't think of a Michigan Friday night game or a
Oh
Thursday
no,
night
of the
game
big three, Penn State has.
played the most. Yeah.
I think so. I think there's at least those three.
Yeah. I feel like we might be missing one
I
more in
think we
there.
might be two. At Illinois,
Uh,
which I missed on that was the plane thing. At Maryland, did they go
if you,
Northwestern Friday night? No, wasn't.
no, if there feels like there might have been another one in there. I'm sure somebody will call us out
But
on.
that's still three in the past 7 years.
Yeah, that's essentially one every other season. So yeah, no, I don't know. I'm not a fan of it, but it is what it is. Like I said, I am interested to like check out a new stadium. And I do think that there will be probably more Penn Staters there this weekend than there would have been if the game was on Saturday in East
Oh,
Lansing.
for sure, sure.
Um,
So, what are
so
your grade points in the stadium? Why you're going to have wider concourses? It's going to be newer. Like, so what are the things that
but
sway this and make it a good place for you without
but
sight
it
unseen?
isn't that new. Think about it. Steelers played there in Super Bowl 40, and that
Yeah,
was
that's true.
15 years ago now.
Okay, so okay, it's newer than Spartan Stadium.
Yeah, yeah.
Not a high bar. Um, but what are the things you're looking for, anticipating without having done research, just kind of hoping that a stadium has that would make the experience good for you?
I want a clear jumbotron. I think that is the first thing I'm always looking for, regardless of when I walk into a stadium.
So they got a
I
whole field of stuff they're going to play on. You want to make sure the TV that you can see is clear.
So that I can look at replays. I need to know where I'm looking for replays, Steve.
Okay, just checking.
Um, I am I am interested to see the sound in there, just because I remember Indy being very loud. Like that was very loud, and that's the only time I've ever been to an indoor football um, stadium. Well, that doesn't have a roof that opens up. Correct. Yes. So there's that. I'm also just interested in like what is the stadium like, because I think it's probably the last stadium of like the or the first stadium of the new era of stadiums. So what is the stadium like? I am interested to see like how they tie in, like as always, just like that. I always think that's important. Like, how do they tie in the local community? What's the area around the stadium like? And I know it's right next to their ballpark. But what is then inside the stadium? What's the food like? Is it, I mean, I would assume that I can get some type of Little Caesars or Detroit style pizza
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in there. So I'm interested in that. So I'm also just like generally curious if obviously the Lions play their Thursday. Like, are they going to flip the field over and put Michigan State branding, or is it going to say Lions in the end zone? Which would be very funny now that I think about it, because they are
They're playing
playing
the Lions.
they are playing the Lions.
I would think they'll flip it over, but I would think the other branding would be interesting. Like Michigan State's playing one game the year. It's not like Pitt at Acrisure Stadium, right, where they have all the kind of stuff and they flip the stadium. It kind of looks like theirs. Because if you're Michigan State, why are you going to invest a lot in that? Or even if you're Ford Field, why are you going to invest a lot in making this look like their place? So yeah, I think that'll be interesting for viewers who are watching on NBC to see as well,
So,
or Peacock.
or Peacock. So are you looking forward to the one final NBC broadcast of the year?
Yeah, I am. I actually name dropping. I talked to Todd Blackledge last week for a piece in the column in the Mirror, and appropriate some of it for Stuff Summer Says blog piece. Told him I thought they had the best broadcast going, and we talked about why a little bit. So yeah, anything to get the taste of last week's broadcast out of my mouth. But yeah, it'll look good, right? There won't be the weather stuff, but it should be good sight lines, all that stuff that an NFL stadium has. And I think they do good work. I mean, that's the best part about what's left of the Penn State season from a media consumer standpoint who watches games. Got NBC this week and probably ESPN for the bowl game.
Right.
And all, so you're going to get 2 good broadcasts.
Yeah, you're not going to have to deal with Fox or Gus Johnson screaming random nicknames all over the place. We poor Gus Johnson. He's not sending us a Christmas card this year.
No, I don't think he cares.
No, I don't think he cares either.
If he did, maybe we'd get nicknames.
Maybe. I don't know if I want one of his nicknames. I'm terrified of what one of his nicknames would be. We should make like a Gus Johnson nickname generator. That's what we should do. I might do that. That's a bad idea. Okay. Anything else? We feel good. We feel good about.
Yeah, Michigan State's gonna score what, 9 points if they're lucky.
You heard it here first. Steve's predicting 9. Is that a touchdown and a safety, or is that 3 field goals?
Could be 3 field goals. Could be a touchdown. Maybe the defense finally gets a safety. Do they have one this year?
I don't know if Michigan State has one.
No, has Penn State? Penn State is.
I can't. When's the last time Penn State? Wait, so Penn State gets the 2 points?
Yeah, right. Like so Michigan. They get the 2 points by doing something. They tackle the Michigan's third person in the end zone. That's how it works, right?
There was one. The ball went out the end zone. Yeah, the ball went out the end zone against Indiana.
Yeah. So I mean, but still 9 points, and Penn State's going to get 24, 27 at minimum.
So the quarterback's going to be fine, 100%.
I don't think it matters who the quarterback is.
Okay.
There you go.
Steve is feisty today.
Does it? I mean, it doesn't, does it?
It does a little bit, because Bo hasn't thrown the ball. Like, and if you're from the York area, like our friends Bill and Linda, if you're from the York area and you have seen Bo throw a ball, please, by all means, feel free to prove us wrong. But
you can get little recruiting tapes submitted out of the website.
Yeah. So okay, all right. I want to briefly hit on this topic. Speaking of Friday, there's a lot of football on Friday, and it seems like Thanksgiving / now Black Friday has become the football holiday. Primarily Thanksgiving, right? Like that's part of Thanksgiving. It goes parade, dog show, then you watch football. But that being said, there are a lot of college games on Friday. There's also now
good ones.
Yes, a lot of good ones, very important ones.
Yep.
And then there's also an NFL game now on Friday. Is there too much Black Friday football?
No, and no, with the caveat that we will know depending on what the ratings say.
Okay.
But no, I mean, I think people will. Iowa, Nebraska's early, right? That's in that noon window. God forbid anybody watch that. Although I think I'm interested if Matt Rule could somehow pull an upset over Iowa, right? Oregon State is late. It's the Jets on Friday midday, right? The Jets and the Dolphins.
Jets and the Dolphins, yeah.
So it's not like there's a boatload of good. I mean, the best game might be Oregon State at night in terms of what's there, but no, people are home / off, and they're filling windows, right? Well, and the other thing that's off is TV productions are off, right? Afternoon TV is off. The talk shows are off, right? So that's why the games end up during the day there. But no, I don't think there's too much. I mean, there's not any more than there is on a regular Saturday. So I'll go with no as my final answer.
Okay. I don't know. I'm a little anxious about it.
What will you watch, or what will you not watch?
I guess like, yeah, I'm gonna go to a bar and watch football when we're gonna drive to Detroit during the day, but I'm gonna watch football because that's what I'm supposed to do. I think. I think at least the nice thing about Missouri, Arkansas is like Mizzou is interesting this year. Other years, like that's not that interesting of a matchup. Even like what Texas does or doesn't do is interesting to me just because it's Texas and they could like screw up here, and that would throw things off in that conference. And then who knows, like maybe Penn State's probably ranked ahead of them type thing. And then, of course, like you said, you've got Oregon State, and that's probably two teams, or well, those are two teams ahead of Penn State. Although I would assume if Oregon loses, that Penn State would not really gain anything there. I think Oregon would still be ranked ahead of Penn State. That being said, I don't know. I think maybe my gripe is with the NFL game. Like the NFL has Thursday, stay on Thursday, and stay on Sunday. Like that's maybe why
no, that's not how the
it.
NFL works, right? They've got Monday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday when college football season ends, and Sunday, right? Like that's not, you don't become the biggest best league by saying, oh, we'll just give you some space here.
Well, and it's going to get even worse next year, right? Like when the playoff expands, because you're going to have those last couple Saturdays in December after college football are NFL Saturdays. Like you're going to have that going head to head. I am really interested to see. I think I would assume if the game is interesting enough and the matchup itself is interesting enough, and then the action in the game is interesting enough, I kind of still think that a college football playoff game is going to outrank or outrate an NFL game.
Oh, I don't know. It'd have to see who it is, but I guess I'd be a little surprised.
Like if it was Jets Bears or like,
yeah, but you just named New York and Chicago, right? So if it was Jacksonville, somebody else maybe, right? Yeah, exactly. But the NFL is not going to do that, right? Like they're not going to give them a dog of a game on those days. So no, I don't think there's too much. Will you watch more Thursday or Friday? Which day gets more football viewing? Forget the live game.
Thursday.
Okay.
Thursday always. Like Thursday is that the channel or the TV doesn't change from football after the parade. And
big Penn State basketball game on Thursday.
There is a big Penn State basketball game on Thursday.
TV channel's not going to change.
No.
Okay. Just check.
Maybe briefly. Just to check in.
Okay.
So. Okay. That's all I wanted. All right. Last part of this week's show is this week's Old Guy, Young Guy. Steve, here is my Thanksgiving question for you. It is not the question that James Franklin asked. It is rather one simple question. Do you consume the insides of the turkey? I'm talking like the giblet and the like liver and like all that stuff.
I have and could, but I probably won't. We'll save it for my father, probably.
Yeah, I see. I can't get on board with that one.
Well, then you don't want to know the stuff the rednecks and the farms pickled and ate, man. Right? Have you had cow tongue or cow liver?
No, I've had liver. I've had cow liver. It's fine. It's very much fine.
Yeah.
But no, I know my mom does. Like I'm gonna save the inside.
I think that's an even older than Steve guy, young guy thing. Like I think that's a generational thing of like every part of the animal we can do something with. We're going to do. You know, my big thing was make sure the thing is unfrozen enough so we can get that stuff out. So then we're cooking it, it's not in there. We know where it's at, right? And then we save it for whoever wants it.
I also wonder if that's a Pennsylvania thing, because like I feel like even with deer, like I feel like people, like I know a lot of people that like we're gonna get every inch of meat off that deer, like we're gonna use.
Oh sure, yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, I'm gonna say no on that one. So
nobody offered that up to James Franklin today. None of the media members said, "Well, hey coach, what about the giblets?" And nobody turned the question back on him in his annual little "What do you eat?" kind of thing, which I was a little disappointed in. So.
Well, do you remember the questions? Because I think you kept better track of them.
Oh, today it was 3 questions. Good Lord, it was green beans or collard greens. It was cornbread or rolls, and it was the meal or leftovers. So he made every reporter answer those 3 questions before he started with their question, which. Maybe it's his Thanksgiving tradition. Maybe it's endearing and humanizing. If I were working the beat, I don't know if I'd ask a question. I don't know if in the room, I just wouldn't ask a question. In the room, I would just, okay, this is a week I'm not getting to ask a question. Like because I wouldn't play the game. If I were on the phone on Zoom and you're stuck there, you can't be a clown about it, right? Yeah. You can't, so you got to kind of play along. But I think I would ask him, hey coach, you haven't given your answers. What are your 3, right? Something just to.
I think you would. I think you would answer and then say, "I'm only going to answer if you give me your." That would be a very Steve thing. I'm only going to answer if you give me your.
Right? Yeah, I would say, are you going to give me your 3? Right? Like, because nobody turned it back, and I get it. And we got way too much information from the media about their eating habits and their whatever else and how they got started. And so, I mean, I
All
guess
right.
it's fun, but I also think it's not necessary. So,
Steve's just asked the damn questions.
exactly.
But I
I'm
want to
very
hear
much
the
that guy.
answers. I want to hear the answers. So string beans or collard greens?
Oh, string beans. And this is
Yeah,
and this is
Thanksgiving string beans. Yeah,
right.
100%.
And then probably cornbread because it's usually better than the rolls, right?
No, not right.
Okay, well that's
It's
possible.
dinner rolls.
Well, but the thing that was interesting, and you're doing the James Franklin thing, was like, oh, interesting, you said that. Oh, I'm surprised you said that. There was some judginess of stuff. Like I don't know what he was expecting these middle-aged white guys from Central Pennsylvania to talk about their dining habits, but it was almost like he was expecting different answers. And I'm like, oh, there's some stuff going on here too. So
And then the last one was Thanksgiving dinner or the leftovers.
yeah, I like to eat the dinner. The leftovers, the only thing that's ever really good is the stuffing. We
Again,
make good stuffing.
wrong. That's wrong. It's
Yeah.
leftovers. That's the best part of Thanksgiving.
I leftovers are a staple of my diet. Like, we'll go to the beach and there'll be like lasagna or something the first night. Leftover lasagna is breakfast for the rest of the week for me. So I'm very much a leftover guy, but I have the choice of those two. Give me the fresh meal.
See, and this is the only time of the year I prefer leftovers. Like I
Oh,
will,
that's interesting. Okay.
like I don't really enjoy leftovers any other time. But
Well, that's because this is old guy, young guy. We had the old Saturday morning cartoon thing where they would tell us to eat leftovers out of the fridge. It was kind of like a conjunction junction thing from Saturday morning stuff. I'll have to send you the link.
you're gonna have to send me the link
And
on
it
that
was
one.
just like you can make a meal out of all this stuff. So all the latchkey kids of the 70s and 80s were happy eating whatever we could find in the fridge.
Well, you know, I I, I just
Sorry,
don't
that
like
stressed more than you
leftovers.
wanted.
No.
I'll find you the link though.
Okay. All right. Anything else this week?
No, have a good
Okay.
Thanksgiving.
All right. Perfect.
Have a safe trip.
Thank you. Let's see. I don't know what I'm gonna write. I don't. I might do it tomorrow night. It depends. Maybe probably Wednesday night still. It just depends. I think let's plan on doing a newsletter. This is me telling you this plan, but let's plan on doing a newsletter next week because we haven't done one in a little bit. So those are fun. And then, big thing this week is we're having a Black Friday sale because we want to participate in capitalism. So
Woohoo!
you can save 25% or 20% on tees and long sleeves, respectively, which equates to just $5. So $5 off those things. So that'll run till I think I said it till Tuesday. So I would.
So it goes from Black Friday till Cyber Tuesday. So we're touching both of them. Good for you.
Yeah. No, we're not. I'm gonna do it once and just turn out. It's easier that way. That being said, if you are like thinking about, because I know there are a couple people that are like, I think I might order some stuff for some gifts this year. I would do it sooner rather than later, just because it does take a little bit of processing time and shipping time, and then of course I'm sure everything's going to be slowed down with the whole Amazon Christmas rush. So that takes care of most of our housekeeping. The last of our housekeeping is some more information. You can thumbs up, subscribe, 5 stars, comments, anything. Great. We appreciate. We've got a website. It's called stuffsummersays.com. On that website, there's a section for Steve called With
Steve.
Steve and I have emails for that website. Mine is Darian at stuffsummersays.com. Steve's is
Steve at stuffsummersays.com.
There we go.
Let's get ahead.
This. And I think we got everything there except for the Twitter handles, which mine is at stuffsummersays. Steve's is
at Steve Samsel.
Proud of you. Very thankful for you and
you as well?
Steve, but
sorry, that was for you out there. That was for me. There we go.
And mainly you, Steve. So
I appreciate that. I'm thankful for you and for we've gotten to this point and forgot my friends at Death Wish Coffee. So I want to make sure we let them know that we love them too.
Okay. I don't know if our ad's still running for them, but
okay. Well then, whatever. We still like them.
We still like them. They're very good. So, all right. Have a good Turkey Day. Talk to you on Monday. Okay, bye.